Since we can't do a whole lot of traveling now, unless you live in somewhere tropical, I've got a project that can bring the tropics to your art room. So let me show you what I've created. I've come up with a card using our dies. It's using the same idea as a shadow box. So using the square framelits that come in the craft box, I've created this card. So whether you want to send it to somebody who loves the tropics, somebody who lives in somewhere tropical, or actually if you want to send a picture of you or somebody in a tropical location, this would be a great card to use. So let me show you really quick what's in your July product box. You have 10 pieces of cardstock or multiple colors, and since it's tropical, it doesn't get any brighter or better than this. So we have the Banana Blast, the Mango Tango, the Mermaid Kiss, how perfect is that for tropical, Bluebell, Arctic Sky, Lush Leaves, Green Tea, Agave, Cherry Blossom, Primrose, and then you get our heavy duty 5 pieces of our cardstock, white cardstock. You also get the Detailed Tropics stamp and framelit. Now the reason we have this coordinated together is once you stamp these images, you have a framelit that'll cut perfectly. It registers right around the die, perfectly around the edge. So once you cut it, once you stamp it and then cut it, you don't have to fussy cut with your scissors around it. It'll do it perfectly for you in one swoop through your machine. So all of these are coordinated with some of the framelits, except for obviously some of the words. But you have some sentiments, love, thank you, and I'm going to be using the hello today. You also get some tropical leaves. Another product that's in here, which I love, is the square framelits. You have 8 individual dies and they nest inside of each other. So whether you're going to cut one and then lay another one in it to create a actual frame, that's perfect. Or if you want to just cut a perfect square, that's great. It's really versatile die, which I love. You get the maker's tape. This is a tape that is a light tack. It'll hold down your die so you can make sure it doesn't shift around when you're running it through the machine. It's perfect for any die cutting, especially for something that you need to register perfectly. So this is a great product, and you get 2 inside of each one. You also get 2 embossing powders. You get the Lush Leaves and the Green Tea. Both of them need to be used with embossing ink. So of course we're going to give you embossing inks. This is perfect for this. So what you do is you rubber stamp it, put the stamp, well, you're going to rubber stamp it with the embossing ink, and then you're going to sprinkle some of the embossing powder on it, tap off the excess. I'll show you really quick another way I'm going to use it, and then with our heat tool you can go ahead and heat it up. Some other products I'm going to be using that aren't included in the craft box is our adhesive, double-sided adhesive sheets. This is a perfect product for you to be using if you're going to be die cutting anything intricate or a letter or something that you don't want to do a fine piece, drip of glue around. You run it through the machine with this already on the cardstock, die cut it, and it's already a sticker. With our heat tool, this is perfect. We have 2 different speeds. The heat's the same, but the speed is 2 different speeds. So that's our heat tool. I'm also going to be using our Cherry Blossom. So since some of you are familiar, or all of you are familiar, that we are a die cutting company that's been the expert in the industry since the mid-70s, not only die cutting is our product. We have the machines, as you know, the dies, but also we're coming up with different products that coordinate with each other. So whether you're using our cardstock, you know it's going to coordinate perfectly with sequins and beads. This is the Cherry Blossom, so I know if I'm doing a project, it's going to coordinate perfectly with the sequins and beads, the markers, the embossing powder, the glitter, all sorts of products. So you know that you don't have to worry about anything matching and going to match it up. You know that we've got it, and it's all available on our website. Since I'm going to be using a heat gun, most of us know that when we use anything hot, whether it's a glue gun or a heat gun, chances are you might burn yourself. So we have these perfect little fingertip protectors. It comes with the spatula, so if you can scrape it up or hold it down if you're going to be doing any embossing. It also comes with the heat-resistant rubber silicone mat, so you don't ruin your work surface. Express glue, which is fast drying. I love it. It's ready to go as soon as I put down something. It's forgiving really quick, but it dries really quickly, which I love. Our double-sided adhesive tape, our foam tape. This is something that I'm going to be using to lift up so I can get the shadow box effect on my card. Everybody needs a die pick, and then the sculpting kit. The sculpting kit comes with various sizes of styluses, so if you're going to do any dimensional on your flowers especially, or leaves, this is perfect. It comes with a foam base, so that's a great item that you need if you're going to be doing any dimensional pieces for your flowers. The reversible tweezers. Most tweezers, when you squeeze them, it releases it. This one, it opens, or when you let go, it releases it. But with this one, when you squeeze it, it releases it, and then it holds it for you. So if you have to stop and do something else, you know it's going to be holding on to your die cut piece. So that's just a run through of everything I'm going to be using. But let me go ahead and show you what you need to do to create this. Oh, another thing that I use is our sticky grid. I don't know if you're familiar with this, but it comes with more than one in a pack. It's double-sided. And what I like to do is I like to have one already on my cutting pad. I keep it on the one cutting pad always, so I don't have to pull it up and use it again. I like to make sure I have one on there at all times so it's ready to go. It's tacky, so it's a low tack, so it's adhesive on both sides. So it's perfect for doing any registration if you want to make sure something is perfectly even within another one, like I did for the shadow box card. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you what you need to do for that. So I did a little marking with a pencil just so I'll remember exactly where my spot is. My cardstock is 4 1/4 by 6. So, sorry, I'm gonna have to do this upside down. So what I wanna do is, for my card, if you can tell, the first one is a larger square. I use a 3-inch, the next size is a 2.5, and the smaller size is the 2-inch. So what I like to do, get that little leaf off of there, is you want to make sure that the blade is up, because for this one in particular, the flat side of your framelit is going to go perfectly against your sticky grid. So I want to make sure it's even. So I'm going to turn it over, die against the blade against the paper, obviously. Make sure it's centered. Okay. Hold it down, and then I'm going to put it right against where, so it just depends. It doesn't matter wherever you position yours. This is just where I know mine's going to be laid. So carefully I'm going to lay it down, and just make sure that I press down my die, the framelit. So that's all ready. Make sure it's even. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and position it here. So remember, this is a cutting pad on the bottom, so I don't need to use another cutting pad. I'm using my regular Big Cut machine. It comes with your platform. You want to make sure that you have your thin die adapter, the green base on there. That way you know it's going to be doing any of the thinlets. If you're using a Big's die, obviously you don't need that because the Bigs won't go through the machine that way. So don't be alarmed when you hear the crackling noise when it goes through. It's just the roller hitting the straight edge of your framelit. You run it through. Now since this is a sticky grid, you want to make sure you're careful pulling it up. What I like to do is, as soon as I get one from, a brand new package open, I like to tap it up against my clothes just to get a little lint on it. So this might look dirty, it's just a little fuzz. So I like to tap it on me just to get it a little not so sticky, because you don't want to tear your paper when you're pulling it up. So I'm going to take my die pick. And I'm just going to lift, oh, actually, no, sorry. Before I do that, you want to take your square that you just cut and pull it up. Save this, I don't need it today, but you save this because, you know, crafters, we don't throw out our trash. So the next one, make sure you keep your original one on there. So to make sure it's going to be even with the one I just cut, when I do my, finish my project, I'm going to go ahead and position it perfectly in there. Make sure that's even. It's perfectly squared within the center of the one I just did. And now with my die pick, I'm going to lift up that last one I did. So since the middle of the project, the middle of the shadow box card is the mint julep color, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to lay it down on there, just like that. So now, since it's at the same location as the one I did previously, I know for sure that it's going to cut in the same spot, but just a little bit smaller of a card. So this is my cutting pad on the bottom. And I'm going to go ahead and use the other one on top. If you have any questions and you want to give us a little shout out of something that you're curious about, go ahead and put it in the comment section and we'd be happy to answer you as soon as we get a chance. Any questions about the products or projects, if you've seen any of the other ones earlier in the month, then you can see all the different things you could come up with. This is also be a great idea if you want to do it inside of a as a scrapbooking page also. That's another fun thing to do, or a home decor piece. So I know this is going to be fitting perfectly inside the one I just cut. Okay, now like I said before, I'm going to go ahead take this out first. Save that for future use. Instead of pulling that up, go ahead and put the smaller one in. You can keep going. It would be thicker, obviously, as you do larger squares or smaller squares as you go, but this is just 3 different levels. So there we go. Move it up a little bit. Okay, now I can take that outer one up. Oops. And then the last one is another white. Put that down. So if you're familiar with our machines, we have all sorts of different sizes. This is the regular Big Shot. We have the same size opening, which is 6-inch, as the Big Shot Express. That one's electronic. We have the fold away, which is also 6 inches, and that one has a little more pressure, but it folds up and it's compact, so you can store it, and it's great for taking it around town if you go to any crops or anything. That's a great machine to bring. You just do that carefully since it's such a sticky grid. You don't want to tear what you just cut. So I'm done with this. Let me put this off to the side. So the smaller one with the smaller opening is the one that goes in the back. Okay, so that's that. Let me put this off to the side. So what I want to do next is I'm going to just go ahead and cut these individual pieces, but to save time, since I have so much space here, I have it already laid out on the size that I need, and I can do more than one at a time. This one I laid down, I adhered it with our double-sided adhesive sheets that I showed you in the beginning. So this one, since it's so intricate, it's already going to be a sticker, so that saves a lot of time, and you don't need to fuss with any wet adhesive. Since you have this big workspace on your platform, you're able to run more than one through at a time. How great is that? Now I just need a regular standard cutting pad. Make sure everything's ready to go. Sometimes this is when the poke holes come in handy. The poke holes are the little holes that are in part of our dies, our thinlits. You can see those little tiny holes. So since a lot of times what you just cut might get stuck in there, use your die pick, just put it through one of the poke holes, and there you go. It's also perfect to get these little pieces out that decided not to come out when I cut it. And then this is already sticker. I'll just pull my adhesive sheet back off. Got the little flower. Look how detailed that is, cut through perfectly. I love it. So all of these, we have embossing powders to match, so you know for sure whatever you're going to be coordinating with, you know it's going to match perfectly. So this is ready to go. I've already pre-cut some of my pieces before we started, so you don't have to worry about staying and watching me cut all of that. So I'm going to show you really quickly how I did my Embossed Hello. So I'm going to use my embossing ink pad. And instead of, I could go like this, but then I would get so much onto here. So I like to use my fingers and just press it down until I know it's kind of damp. And in my tray here, I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle the embossing powder on there. And since it's damp from the embossing ink, I know it's going to adhere to it. Tap it down just a little bit. And then kind of like hide and seek, you gotta find where it is. Tap my hand, because if I tap this too much, it'll come off. So I'll just tap my hand there like that. So now I'm gonna go ahead, keep it on in my tweezers. Let me move this out of the way. And I'm gonna use my higher speed. And you'll see how it starts, once it comes on, you'll see how it starts to melt and emboss the design. So the tweezers don't get stuck on there. I'm going to hold it down with this. You can see how it starts to get a little glittery and almost looks shiny. So what our embossing powder, what's so great about it, it has glitter in it. So even though it looks like it didn't emboss all of it, it's just because the glitter is shining through. So that's so pretty and ready to go. If I wanted it to be thicker, I could go ahead, do it again, and add another layer, which is a great technique to do too. So I'm gonna put that off to the side. What I love about our little tray here is instead of wasting any of my powder, I can take this, and there it is, back in the jar. Look how much I barely used any. Put that off to the side so I don't knock it over. Okay, so let's get started here. So what you want to do next is using any kind of foam tape, any double-sided adhesive that has foam in it, and you want to go ahead and put it on the back of the one that is going to be placed down. If I put the foam tape on here and then put this on here, it might show through. So I know it won't show through if I put it on the back of this one. So I'm just going to do one side just to show you, and I have one already prepared so you could get the idea of what I did. So you just want to go ahead, lay it down there, and continue down there on all sides. So I've got one already pretty much started here. I'm going to go ahead and peel it off. You just want to do it on all sides that you know will be adhered down, which would be the base of the whole card, especially because you know that if there wasn't a piece here, it would just be kind of floppy, and you want to make sure it adheres down and it's the same dimensional height as the rest of the part. So where all those are off except for this one. Oops. Peel it off. Hope I can get this straight since I'm doing it upside down. Nah, I don't want to chance it. Let me turn it over. Sorry. So since this is ready, I did the same thing on this one already. So that one's pre-done the same way I did this one. So I'm going to go ahead, lay that down like that. See how perfectly that laid down? Since you did the registration with your framelits and graduated in size, you know it's going to be precise because the squares are obviously a perfect square and you just graduated it down in size. So what I'm going to do next, well, I'll do that at the end, is using our double-sided adhesive, and I'm just going to adhere it to a basic, same exact size. So this one is 8.5 by 6. So it's going to lay down perfectly on top of this, and that'll create your fold. So let me go ahead and get started. So I'm going to use our adhesive, our express glue, which I love. So I like to create just a little puddle and use it with my finger. So just to give you an idea of how you want to do it, a lot of times what I like to do is I like to start it from, some people like to create this one layer at a time. I like it to be fully assembled and then put all the pieces in. So it's up to you however you like to do it. So I'm going to go ahead and put a little dab of glue just on the part that I know is going to be adhered to the inside. Actually, I'm going to do it on the next level. You want to bring it in there. I'll use my scissor just to push it up against the inside. That's ready to go. I'm going to do another with the lighter one. See how it's starting to build into itself? This would be a great idea if you're going to do, when you're able to have a party, do a luau. This would be a great invitation, or you could do the little leaves and have the same idea for your place cards, or for the little, the names of the dishes of whatever you're cooking at the cocktail part of the party. So that's kind of another fun way to use this die set too. There, put another one behind. So the colors are perfect. I mean, I just used the tones of the greens and blues, but I mean, I can imagine how pretty it would be with the Banana Blast and the Mango Tango. But the Mermaid Kiss, I mean, that's the perfect perfect name for a die set that's tropical. So let me go ahead and put this here. So you can trim these down. You don't have to do the full length of it. So I'm just going to trim it down. Oops. one more corner here. I'm going to press that like that. So what I did already also is I have pre-assembled some of the flowers. So I took my, can't even speak, my sculpting kit here, and just to add a little dimension to my flowers, they're already cut, ready to go. I'm going to take the smaller stylus, and on this foam base, I'm going to use, actually I'm going to do, I'm just going to dig around it. It's not going to cut it since it's a ball. And then the bottom one I don't want to be so tight, so I'm just going to do it a little bit. And I'll just dip it in my little puddle here. A little bit more. Okay, once I know it's dry, I'm going to go ahead and just press down on it one more time. See how it gives it a little dimension just by pressing it down into the foam? It's perfect. So I'm going to take my little beads. This comes in the Tower of Cherry Blossoms. So you get sequins, all different sizes, star-shaped sequins, a variety of circles, a pearly type one, and then beads. So for the center of the flower, when you cut out the flower, it comes with a little dot, but I thought it'd be kind of fun to add a little dimension to that. We'll put a little dot of glue in there and drop it right there in the bowl, let it dry, and that one's ready to go. So what I'm going to do next, really quickly, is start assembling. So these are the ones I'd already done previously, since I figured you probably don't need to watch me do that. I'm going to go ahead and do the little corner decorative area there. So however you want it to be, this is just how I've laid it out. I've taken a couple of the smaller ones here. You put the one that's the most detailed on last, especially, and that'll hide the base area of your glue and your flowers there too. Do one more palm frond bottom. And then let me go ahead and add these. Actually, I'll do a little puddle directly on this. Oop, that wasn't too little, but there like that. Another one here. My fingers are sticky, so they're sticking to the flowers, and the flowers are like, which side should I stick to, her fingers or the puddle? Let's put that there. Okay. Now, as you know, I had already cut the word hello and embossed it. So let me go ahead. Oops. And it's already, oop, wrong one. I've done a couple of them. Yeah, that is the right one. Peel off the backing. Must have gotten a little embossing powder on the back, but it will still be sticky. And even with my glasses, I wouldn't be able to do this straight, so I gotta turn it upside down. Or turn it right side up. Go ahead and stick it down. Now, what I did on this part, you could leave it plain like this if you like, but what I did is I had taken a few of the leaves and just trimmed them. So, trimmed them down here, add a little adhesive to create, making it look like it kind of is coming off of the card, which gives it a kind of a nice little technique. Another one up here. And then do one at the top. Okay, and the last part is using my double-sided tape runner. I'm going to put a little adhesive onto here. Sure it's opening on the right side. Trust me, the reason I say that is because I've done it before. You finish the project and you're like, oh my gosh, it's upside down. And there we go. So if you can't get off to the tropics anytime soon, you can bring the tropics to your projects. Hope you enjoyed the project, and thanks so much for joining us.